Begin.
My name is Craig Case. I am sharing what I experienced on October 22nd, last Saturday. My perspective is one of many. There were hundreds of us on that action. Mine is not meant to contrast or supersede others' accounts, but rather to be one voice of many. And this is what I saw on that day. 200 to 300 of us gathered to march across the treaty land that is across from where the front line camp is. And our intention was to meet up in solidarity with other water protectors who had locked themselves down to equipment much earlier that morning. And that was our only objective, was to walk across that treaty land to meet those other water protectors and to give them support and solidarity. There was no other objective to that march. And so as the sun rose, we set out in prayer and ceremony. There was a very massive group of us. We were not all together in one huge body, but rather
Finish your sentence. I'll check this.
We were strewn together into different groups, all close to each other, but not absolutely together.
Continue.
Our march proceeded until we met a police line that had been waiting for us. To circumvent it and continue our march, we broke into a field to the left. We continued along our path in that field. The police followed us across the fence for a ways before breaking off to head us off in their vehicles. We continued toward where other water protectors were locked down to machines. We progressed for some time, occasionally stopping and waiting for others to catch up to us. And eventually the police, successfully headed us off in their vehicles and formed a line in front of us. And this is when, really disturbing things began to happen. As they lined up before us, those of us in the front, men and women, we locked arms and formed a protective line, not to try to force past the cops, but simply to protect those behind us from them, because they were lined up in front of us in riot gear with batons, and the ones right in front of me honestly seemed terrified. I even pitied them. I looked before me and just saw two officers who seemed to really believe we were going to do harm to them. They weren't, I could just tell the way they were wielding their batons and the way they were breathing, they were very tense. And I remember saying to them, "No one's going to hurt you." For what it was worth, I saw them not breathing as fast or heavy. But that is incidental to the rest of what happened. They began to advance upon us, and the line I was a part of, we began to walk backward. This movement was the police progressing toward us with their batons and an officer with a can of mace, a large can of mace. As we were walking backwards, and many of us singing a song, "Love Will Find a Way." And so we were going backward, giving ground to the police. And before any of this happened, they had told us, "You're all under arrest. If you attempt to leave, you'll be charged with fleeing." They didn't give us a chance to leave. They simply said, "You're all under arrest. Don't leave." But we were walking backwards, attempting to leave. Many people said we're unarmed, we're trying to leave, but they continued to come upon us, and I saw officers, grabbing people and forcing them down, and kind of swarming on top of people and tackling them. And I've heard many other accounts of this situation, of officers jabbing and beating people, women, with their batons. I've heard a report of a woman's rib being broken. I've heard a report of a woman's arm being broken. I had just one place in the line in this chaotic situation. What I saw was people being grabbed and forced down and arrested. I'm very interested when all of these accounts come out and all the videos come out. I know there were several videos taken of this situation, and I look forward to when it all becomes apparent and all of the viewpoints are shown and the people who were harmed, give their accounts. Somehow I escaped being harmed or arrested at that time. But just the act of us walking backwards as they approached us was, pretty dangerous. It was an uneven field with holes. I'm surprised no one, broke a leg in that. There was also an officer who, maced someone, again, as we were walking backwards away from them. And we continued this. We locked arms until they stopped actively pursuing us. And we began retracing our steps back to where we came from, leaving the site. Eventually they headed us off again. Again, we waited several times for others to catch up. Our objective was to have solidarity with each other and to march peacefully and in prayer. Most of us didn't have an interest in running or trying to hide. When the officers headed us off again, we bunched up in a big group, and they mass arrested us. They encircled us, and we eventually just sat down. And after some time, people started getting up one at a time and being arrested. The bus I was loaded onto was driven by a National Guardsman for, I don't know why. I'm not sure what their involvement is at this point. And we were held for hours without being booked. They just kind of packed us all into the garage of the Morton County Jail. Large amounts of us, many of us, cuffed, zip-tied, tightly enough to cut off circulation or to cause pain. Eventually they switched everyone's cuffs to in front of them. Well, I say everyone I saw. And then they shipped us off all to several different places. It was a long time before I even received charges or was booked into the jail in Mercer County. We were, as far as I could see, all charged with criminal trespass and engaging in a riot, B-class misdemeanors. They said they were going to charge us with fleeing, but that's what the charges wound up being. And I think that's all of my account for now, and I would just like to reiterate sort of the horror of this situation. I knew what we were getting into, but the people I was with just, it was horrifying. We were trying to leave and backing away from them and, singing "Love Will Find a Way" and things like that, marching in peace and prayer, and our only intention was even just to get to where the other water protectors were, and they just came forward with, such violence and, harming people as we were just, backing away, and it was truly awful just, seeing the panic among people, the fear in their eyes. Like I said, there were even two officers who, the situation was frightening to them too. Maybe they were, told that we were dangerous. There seems to be a lot of that going around. And I hope this situation circulates and that more videos come out and people can see sort of how all of this is happening, what the reaction is, and just how violent the police react to us with guns and lines and riot gear and charging everyone with rioting when we march in prayer. You know, none of these are to destroy anything. That's all I have to say at this time.
Thank you.